What is up, guys? Today we're going to be comparing the Bold M1 to the Samsung Galaxy A51. So the question is, should you spend the extra $300 on the Galaxy A51 and the Bold M1 is $200, or should you save that money? So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so as you can see with the hardware on both these guys, the design on these phones are beautiful, especially the psychedelic kind of prism color that we've seen on the Galaxy Note 10. That makes its way to the Galaxy A51, and it is very beautiful, this black model, and you can get it in a variety of different colors. The Bold M1 you can only get in black. So the first big difference with these two phones is the hardware. So the Bold M1 is made out of glass and metal and definitely feels like a premium phone compared to the A51. The A51 is much lighter, it's made out of plastic, but like I said, they're both really beautiful looking phones. It's just this one is the more premium feeling one. Now for looks, that's pretty much up to you which you think looks better, but you do have a kind of more up-to-date camera setup, I guess. I'm still not sure if I like the whole camera setup that they're going with in 2020. You know, like the iPhone 11 and the Pixel, this sort of square shape with all the little cameras stuck in there. Not sure how I feel about it yet. This one hasn't grown on me like the iPhone did, but it might. So you've got a quad camera setup on the back, a dual camera setup on the Bold M1, LED flash. On the side of both phones, on the A51 you have the volume rocker power button, and the same thing on the Bold M1, you have the volume rocker and power button, and the Bold M1 is a little bit thicker than the A51. Down below you have the same setup, headphone jack on both, USB Type-C on both, and one single firing speaker. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about the displays on here. So you have a 6.5 inch 1080p display on the Galaxy A51. It's a Super AMOLED display, 405 for the PPI, and it has the little punch hole in it. And on the Bold M1 you have an AMOLED display, 6.4 inches, 403 for the PPI, so slightly smaller than the Galaxy A51. So as you can see, the Bold M1 has no punch hole, no notch. You have the pop-up camera, and on the Galaxy A51 you have the tiny little punch hole, which I actually am surprised that it wasn't that distracting. So it wasn't as distracting as, you know, I thought it was going to be. Now the viewing experience on both these phones are actually excellent. Now I will say that the Galaxy A51 is definitely more color accurate. So you're just going to get more accurate colors. The Super AMOLED just gives off better colors. I think Samsung makes the best AMOLED panels. And the Bold M1 has a really good panel as well for media consumption. You know, it's a little smaller than the Galaxy A51 by just 1 inch, but I would still go with the Bold M1 as a media device just because you don't have to deal with the punch hole. I never had any problems with the pop-up camera messing up or malfunctioning, but you might be worried about that and want to go the safe route. Then get the Galaxy A51. This punch hole is not really that distracting at all. Now both these phones have a single firing speaker on it, so let's go ahead and check that out, starting with the A51 at max volume. Sounds really good. So there's definitely more of a presence with the 808s. With the Bold M1, it has just a deeper bass. But I actually prefer the mids and the highs on the Galaxy A51. So that really comes down to personal preference. They actually both sound great. Alright, so the Bold M1 does have Android 9 on it right now. It's supposed to get the Android 10 update, Helio P70, Mali G72 GPU. You also have micro SDX support up to 128 gigs, and you also have 128 gigs of built-in storage on it, and you also have 4 gigs of RAM on the Bold M1. Now on the Galaxy A51 you have Android 10 with One UI 2.0, so you pretty much have the full it's not anything that's stripped back. It's the full one, the same on the Galaxy S10, the One UI, and you have the Exynos 9611 processor with the same identical GPU, the Mali G72. So you also have micro SD support, and you also have 64 gigs of internal storage and 4 gigs of RAM. So performance wise, these things are almost exactly the same. They are pretty smooth, both of them. As far as the skins or which one you prefer, it comes down to what you really want. If you like One UI, then it has a whole bunch of features, everything you could really want. And the Bold one is kind of like stock Android. You have the Google Now, which I absolutely love. I really love this. And on the Galaxy A51, you do have Bixby, which I don't find as useful as Google Now, but that is there for Bixby fans. So it really just comes down to personal preference on that. But as far as speed, they so far have been identical. They're not really lagging all over the place. These have been very solid phones for me so far. Let's go ahead and do a quick speed test. So exit out of all the applications, and let's go ahead and launch PUBG first. 3, 2, 1. It looks like the Bold M1 is in the lead right now. It looks like the Galaxy A51 beat it, or it got to the menu first. Let's go ahead and try Call of Duty Mobile. 3, 2, 1. Pretty much identical. They do have the same GPU. So let's go ahead and try PUBG. 3, 2, 1. So it looks like the Bold M1 got it there. And let's try some smaller applications like YouTube. 3, 2, 1. So they're pretty much on par with speed, as you can see. Alright, so the Galaxy A51 does have NFC and the Bold M1 does not. So if you depend on mobile payments on your phone, then you won't be able to do that on the Bold M1. Also, you have built-in fingerprint scanner on both these guys in the displays, and they both pretty much feel the same from what I'm seeing pretty much. And I don't have my finger registered on this one, but they're pretty much the same timing. So they're not as fast as the OnePlus 7 Pro, but as you can see, they're basically the same. Takes the same amount of time. It's not really lagging or anything like that. So the fingerprint scanners are pretty solid on both these phones. Now you do have the option to do the face unlock on the Galaxy A51, and that works great, and you do not have that option with that pop-up camera on the Bold M1. Another thing I noticed is that Bold does not take advantage of this AMOLED display. Samsung does definitely a better job, so you have the double tap to wake, and you just don't have that on the Bold M1. You have to install applications and stuff like that, so it's not a huge deal, but Samsung does take advantage of the AMOLED display much better on the with the One UI. Alright, so let's talk about cameras. So on the A51 you have a 48 megapixel wide and 12 megapixel ultra wide, a 5 megapixel telephoto, and a 5 megapixel depth sensor. Shoots in 2160p. 32 megapixel front facing camera, shoots in 1080p. On the Bold M1 we have a 16 megapixel camera and a 5 megapixel depth sensor. It only shoots in 1080p, and you have a pop-up selfie camera that shoots in 1080p. So as you can see, you can only shoot in 1080p on the Bold M1, not the 2160p like you can on the A51. Now for cameras, for budget phones, they both do good. So whichever phone you decide to go with, I think you'll be satisfied. It's not going to be anything bad. But as you can see with color accuracy, the A51 is just killing the Bold M1. It's just a very color accurate display in camera. So Samsung does really good with their camera software. So as you can see, it's like night and day with those colors. Here's another picture of the doorknob. Again, very color accurate on the A51. Now the Bold M1 definitely looks more lifelike in this picture. As you can see, the A51 likes to kind of make everything look a little bit more brighter and vibrant, which I don't necessarily mind. And also on the A51, as you can see, I have that wide angle lens, and I do not have that on the Bold M1. So you can get that wide angle shot, get so much more in the photo. Now you have a 3500 milliamp battery on the Bold M1, 18 watt fast charging, and 10 watt wireless charging. That is one of the crazy things on the Bold M1, to have that wireless charging. And you guys know, if you use it, how convenient wireless charging is. Just be able to put your phone down and let it charge. That is an awesome feature, so do not sleep on that. You do have a 4000 milliamp battery, so a bigger battery on the A51, 15 watt fast charging, so a little bit slower than the Bold M1, and no wireless charging. So that is also a decision you're going to have to make. So it just really comes down to what is more important to you. Do you want a bigger battery, or do you want, you know, a battery that can charge really fast and also do wireless charging? Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next one.